reason, and so do I. I really liked that. That was just a really, that line hit me. Like I can remember exactly where I was sitting when I read that a few days ago and just kind of stopping and taking in the song again. That was really good. And you really expanded on the idea of what a cliche is and then related it back to the topic of the song, which made so much sense for why there were cliches in the song. So that was really cool. And then again, so sorry. The only part that I was a little confused about was the line, but not all queens are nice, not all the lights are good for sight. I really like that line, but I don't know if it belongs in this story. It might be something that would be really good in your lyric bank for another song. Um, but other than that, it was really it's an amazing song. Like for something that you didn't feel very good about, this has really got the makings of like a really good song in it, and it's pretty cool. I like the lines. My favorite lines were, the last time I tried leaving, the only thing I succeeded in was scarring her blackish bluish wrist. I said, turn your guns into a fist. I love that line so much. It was just really, really real. And it felt like, even though I didn't know the exact circumstances, it felt like something that you had gone through, which it might be. And it was just very, very like moving. And it was perfectly placed in the song at the place when generally, like, in a story, like everything would kind of reach like peak emotions, and you really did a good job of relating it to that person. And I think you said it was your mom, and relating it to that, and even keeping with like the blackish bluish wrists, because you had talked about like how the colors were never like quite specific in the song. And I really like how you kept that theme even in like the really intense part. And yeah, just fantastic job with both songs. They're very different, but they've got really like really strong elements to them.
Yeah. Oh
Gosh, you're
gosh.
making me blush.
Salma, I'm
Thank
so
you so
sorry
much,
that I
Ariel.
yeah. Well said, Ariel. Ariel. And Salma, I'm so sorry for missing this song. Because this song is absolutely beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
So many colors.
yeah, a lot of colors. I really like this line. She has brawn browns, hazel eyes. And then this is your chorus, I think, right?
Yeah.
I love that. That is so good. That is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Wow. Uh, do you before we get to Ivan's feedback on whichever song he wants to give feedback on, do you want to tell us a little bit of the story behind cliches?
Um. Well. Okay. So it started as uh, a love song. I tried to write a love song, and that was like the first probably two or three lines. And because I don't like love songs and I'm not really good at them, it turned a bit darkish. And then I thought, okay, so I'm going to write, especially because of the like a tent with a gold, like the crown on her. I was thinking of my mom because my mom's name is actually Amira, which means queen in Arabic. So I thought, okay, so I'm going to write a love song to my mom, or like not a love song, but like a appreciation song to my mom. And then it started getting a bit darker and darker. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make it like not all queens are nice, and I'm going to make it about me. And yeah, and yeah, the last bit is about my well. It's a bit of a touchy subject.
Sure,
So yeah,
sure.
I did stuff before, and it's not. Oh God. So yeah.
Man, well,
it's about me. So I guess.
yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow. Super, super, super good. Ivan, do you want to, which song do you want to talk about, man?
Since this one's pulled up, for now, I'll just say I absolutely love the 21 Pilots quote. The guns to a fist. Because I always feel really guilty quoting other songs in my songs, or quoting things like like, you know how some rappers make references to like pop culture references or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd always feel bad doing that and can never get it out right. But that fit really well with what it was actually saying, and it's actually relevant to what was going on, since you were just talking about it. It's actually good, and you're not just throwing 21 Pilots lyrics in there because they're 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I also really like the chorus. And it doesn't, like, it's almost an imperfect rhyme with me cliche, but it sounds like the sounds are weirdly similar throughout the entire chorus, but none of it like directly lines up and rhymes, and I think that's like really awesome. It sounds beautiful when I say it, like when it's said together, but it doesn't need to rhyme. And I always resort directly to rhyme when writing, because that's something I need to work on. But yeah, it sounds really good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Salma, what questions do you have for us about the song? What else can we help you with? On either song, by the way. You do get that privilege because of my mistake.
So, in that one, I really didn't like it. Probably, maybe, I guess, because of the subject and because it's about me. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to hate it forever. So your words are super nice. But yeah, it just makes me feel a bit, I don't know. So yeah, I don't like that one very much. So the other one, well, yeah, I wanted to ask about the game Sandersa, the PlayStation or the video game Sandersa, because I thought it was maybe a bit too much, but I wanted to like paint a scene and like show how young they were and how a cool, not perfect life, but how could like a peaceful life be. And I don't know, I think like a lot of, and I feel a bit stupid because I play Medal of Honor a lot, and I don't know why it's like Medal of Honor. It's Medal of Honor. But yeah, so yeah, I think I thought it was a bit long, but I wanted to like paint a scene. So yeah, I want to ask about that, but you've already said how can
Actually,
I change things?
I have a suggestion for that
yeah,
whole thing. When I was thinking about the issues that Cliff was bringing up, like I understood, like it didn't fit with the rest of the song, but then after he explained why he didn't think it went well with the context and how old they are and stuff, if you just added a line about how he's an adult now and he can't just do that, or he's not 15 anymore.
Oh, that's
or
good.
Like
Yeah.
he needs to understand that he's growing up and stuff, and it's reality and separating it. And it would be easy with just like a line or two, just mentioning that like you're 20 now, or saying you're not 15 anymore. You can't do this like you've always done. That would probably sort out the age issue and also the implication that he did that when he was younger. Like that was an actual thing.
I think that's a good
that's
idea.
Actually a pretty cool idea, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
really like
actually a good
that.
one. Yeah.
And I really liked that stanza. It definitely stood out to me because it was so specific. It felt like something really real. And like when people are in an intense situation and they kind of start going over what life was like before the intense situation, or like we can't go back to that after this is done and everything's not going to be the same. It just kind of gives this almost, it gives context for the intensity of what's happening, because when when you're watching a sci-fi movie and then like just all kinds of craziness breaks loose and people are dying left and right, it's a sci-fi movie, you don't really expect it. But like if you're watching a movie that's not like that at all, it takes place at like a high school and it's like a love story and there's none of that, and then all of a sudden people are dying left and right, like it's going to carry a lot more impact because you know that that's not normal. And you really did that here by having this whole conflict where he's going to war and she doesn't want him to. And sometimes we can get to the mindset of, oh, this is like a war song, and then we switch what's normal. But then you brought this back and said like, no, like this is supposed to be normal life, and now this is happening and it's not okay. And you did a really good job, I think, showing her anger towards the situation. And I really liked that line where you said, don't be naive, mate. You can't even guarantee your own effing safety, because it's very true when people try to make promises that like they make to make you feel better, but they can't even guarantee that they can look out for themselves. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but just because you know their circumstances won't allow it. And it's really cool, I think, that you showed that with like such succinctness and such powerful emotion. So yeah, sorry, I'm just gushing about how much I love this song.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you so
Well
much.
said.
I think.
Go for it. Go for it.
Oh, sorry. I think it was really cool that, like, at first when I read the context, I thought it was going to be one of those love songs where he goes off to war and then doesn't come home and there's all this drama and it was going to be kind of boring. But then, like, I read it and it was actually awesome because there was conflict between them and not just, oh, this darn war. Why is it always got to be there? Like, it wasn't just the invalid complaints. Like I've always thought, I mean, there are really good songs about war and stuff, but like when they sing about war, it's all, why is there got to be death and violence in the world? But this is completely different because her issue is with him being a part of it willingly, and actually making an effort to do it. And there's family issues with it and stuff. And also, when I was reading the other thing, the Stone Cold in Mid-July, I think that's random thought process. Okay. But I thought while Cliff was talking about that part, I thought about keeping it with the theme and actually bringing it back to the chorus in some way or relating it to the chorus by I turned on the telly and what did I see? It makes me stone cold and my red blood freeze or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like your blood freezing because it relates to bloody red, bloody hell.
Kind of mixed metaphors then there.
Exactly.
Nice.
And so Stone Cold in Mid-July does rhyme with goodbye, and there's nothing else there that really rhymes with goodbye, so that would steal that rhyme. I just thought of that, so you use at your own discretion.
Dude, Ivan's the spot check guy. You got like the idea.
Yeah.
You come up with the issues, I come up with the solution.
Man.
And you feel free to ignore me because I am far from professional.
Far from professional. Can that be your first album name?
Yes, it definitely can.
That would be so legit.
And just like have like a t-shirt that has a suit
Far
like
from
just
professional.
painted
Yeah,
on
just
it.
like, yeah, that would be. That's great.
Wonderful.
That actually would. I need to put that line in a song that I've written that's about that. That's similar to that idea. I gotta write that down. And it could be my first album.
Evan, I just saw your update. Those glasses are just lit.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I wasn't sure who would notice it.
That was pretty cool.
Not the raps.
All right, guys. We should probably move on to Ariel's song. Salma, any last words?
Skip.
No, guys, thank you so much. I'm actually blushing and my face is pretty hot now.
Face is a good place to blush.
Yeah, good job. Good work. Good work.
Yeah.
All right.
Like excited, but I'm nervous.
It is officially time. Ariel, what you got? Tell us about it.
Okay, so this is the first autobiographical one I've put in. I wanted to start with some ones that were less scary. And most of my songs are very personal, but I wanted to start with some more distant ones. But this one is personal to me. And so this was born out of one of my favorite music artists is NF. It's very close between him and 21 Pilots. So I was incredibly elated when I got to see him on his Perception tour last spring, I guess.
Forever ago.
And that was, like forever ago. It was like last May. And I was so excited because it was a VIP meet and greet ticket that I got. So I got to meet him really briefly before the show and shake his hand and like really quick say something and hand him a letter. So that was really awesome. And afterwards, though, it was just so surreal because I had this feeling that like when I went to the concert, it was going to be kind of like more exciting than when I listened to the music at home. Like it was going to be like everything that had happened where like all the experiences I'd had with the music where it had touched me, like it was going to kind of reach a fulfillment when I went to the concert because I was going to be there and it was going to be like all the chats that like I had seen underneath the videos with all the people who were just so awesome talking about the music and how much it meant to them and the lyrics, like they were all going to be there and then he was going to be there and it was just going to be awesome. But while it was incredibly awesome, it wasn't like that. It was like weird because everybody I knew a lot of the people probably had very personal connections to the songs, but people don't, it's not like the internet. People don't like just be like, oh, I'm one of the people who listens to it because it means something to me. Most people just kind of pretend like they just kind of like the way it sounds, and we sort of all ignore the fact that it's really raw music and it's about very difficult topics, and a lot of us like listen to it because we want to, you know, kind of deal with pain or whatever it is that we're struggling with. So it was kind of weird in that way, and then it was also weird having him not know me at all because it's, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, like with 21 Pilots, when you spend so much time with someone and it's like the most personal side of themselves, and then you're kind of opening yourself up for so long. And with NF, like he has songs where he's actually crying. And shortly after the concert, I sort of blended this together, but I lost my grandmother, and I listened to some of those songs about him grieving while I was grieving, and it made me feel so much less alone during that time. So when you share something that's like that personal kind of with someone, it feels like they're with you, but meeting them and having them not even know your name is just a really strange feeling. So it was kind of about that sort of disconnect between the relationship you have with the music the person creates and the relationship you have with the person, and that disparity.
Wow. Wow. That is super powerful. And I'm so, so glad that you decided to share a song, like an autobiographical song too. I really like your other stuff as well. But I got to admit, I've been kind of waiting to see, you know, more like how you approach a song, like personally, like from an autobiographical perspective. And I think you did a great job. I think you really did.
Thank you.
So yeah, what you explain helps out, because I read "Pretend We're So Lost in the Beat" and I was kind of confused by that line. But based on the way you described it, that makes a lot more sense. So that's really good. I felt like overall the song was really, really tight. Nothing feels extra. Nothing feels like you just tacked this on extra, or it feels like you spent some time editing. Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, there's not like, other than maybe a couple tiny examples, there's not really a line that doesn't belong, if you know what I mean.
Yay.
Tell the story well while taking plenty of time to dive into the emotions. That's one thing that I really did like, is you kind of jumped the narrative back and forth on like a chronological perspective. So "Wearing Our Hearts on the Sleeve, Pretend We're So Lost in the Beat" comes after the shaking of the hands. But it was never super confusing. It always kind of made sense what was going on. And I think that's a difficult thing to do. What's his name? The guy who wrote Absalom, or Absalom's Fury, William Faulkner would be proud.
Oh.
Yeah, he's kind of weird. I wouldn't take that as too much of a compliment. Yeah, I thought that you really did. You used the stanzas for their classical purposes in a lot of cases, and I thought that was really good. The bridge shakes things up. The pre-chorus provides a nice transition. Verse 1 gets really detailed. The chorus really hits the theme, and I think that's part of why it felt so tight. Is it just felt like, again, everything was where it belonged. All right, so if we're gonna get into stuff to criticize, I got to say that I thought the song was largely ready for music. If you haven't already put it to music. For the most part, there were just a couple of cliches that I noticed, or a couple of lines that felt a little bit forced or awkward. So let me see. I've got my notes here, and I'll see if I can try to make the screens look, if I can keep track of which, if I start like scrolling and talking about music that's not on the screen, just like somebody reach through the computer and punch me, and I'll fix it.
I got you.
Thanks. First of all, the first line, "Wear Our Hearts on Our Sleeves," is a cliche, but I thought that it was actually a good one. I thought you used it really well, especially when you tied it to the next one, "So Lost in the Beat." It's not so much that you reworked it, but it really made sense with how it goes. And the fact that you rhymed the two cliches together just makes the whole thing feel intentional. So a lot of times the problem that I have, or most people have with cliches, is that people just slip into using them accidentally. But here they seemed like they really fit. So that was good. Yeah, but we ain't never met. How Southern are you?
Coming out.
Were you born in Alabama?
Yeah, really.
I've lived in California my whole life.
Southern California.
I have
right?
no excuse. That's true, Southern California. I don't know why that happened. I really feel like I blame pop music. I really do.
Taylor Swift's fault.
And you know what? Grammatically, I don't have a problem with it. I just felt like it didn't really fit the tone of how you usually sound. It sounded like somebody else was deciding to for a line.
Like somebody we ain't never met.
We ain't never met. So I was curious, the second line in the pre-chorus, "Intention seeking, take my anxiety as proof. I'm so afraid I'll be
Right.
with you." What do you mean by that second line? You care to explain?
So if I can find a better way to say it,
Yeah.
I'm very open to that, because I figured it would be confusing, but I couldn't think of something better. So what that means is it's kind of like you know how with 21 Pilots, there's like this stereotype of like, oh, 21 Pilots like saved my life.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that, and like that's not that's not true for me, but I feel like a lot of people with NF have like this like way crazier stories than I do, like about how NF has helped them. Like there's a lot of that, like NF saved my life and like that type of thing. So it almost feels like sometimes it's like maybe a contest to see like who has been impacted the most, and like whoever's impacted the most will get attention from him.
Oh,
So it was sort of like I was like, well, I'm not making it up to get attention that like you've really impacted my life. I am really nervous about meeting him. So it was sort of that, but I feel like if I can say something else or say something like that, but better, I'm definitely open to it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That does make a lot of sense. Attention seeking your words. Okay. So take my anxiety as proof that your words found my soul in the grieving rooms. You know, honestly, if I was going to give you like a quick fix, I would just say switch the first and the second words, or the first and the second lines.
That makes sense. Let me do that right now.
That would clear up a lot of it. But Salma and Ivan, if you guys want to be thinking about that when it comes around to your turn, if you want to throw something on there and you have a better idea than that, go for it.
It's really smart.
I'm not gonna try to one up you.
Oh no, please do. If you don't one up me, you're doing something wrong, because I am, you know, anybody can be one upped. But all right. So the next line I would suggest a little bit of work on, but I know inside your skull. Now I'm staring into your face, but I know inside your skull. Do you even know my name? Yours is always on my tongue. I know inside your skull. What did I say? I think I was just a little bit confused by it. I think I know what you're going for. Now I'm staring into your face, but I know your mind. I know how you think. I'm kind of rethinking that. I think when I first read through it, I thought maybe a little bit dramatic with the use of the word skull. Maybe there's a slightly different way to say it, but I think now that I feel like I understand the song overall better, I don't have as much of a problem with it. Interesting. All right. Well,
I think you just have a problem with the word skull.
That's what I felt like people were going to say. They're going to be like, Ariel, why do you keep putting skulls in this?
No, I completely understand. I love skulls. They don't sound very poetic. They look great. I love to draw them, but I never do those. I'll send pictures.
What I think is
my art.
Oh, please do. We want to see it.
Yeah.
What I think is funny is I don't think I use that word very often. I think those are probably like the only 2 songs that I have that word in.
I'm probably just hypersensitive to the word skull, and I have no idea why.
Like zombie.
Zombie, yeah. Zombie's a terrible word. Okay.
Oh gosh.
As far as goes, I love. Yeah, I got so much flack for that too. But oh well.
I kind of agree with you. I've never heard it well.
I'm gonna write a song called Zombie Skull.
Zombie Skull. Please do. Please do.
There was
I actually do have something similar to that.
Oh my gosh, please show it to us. Did you know there's a movie musical that Disney did called Zombies? And so zombie is in like so many of the songs from the musical.
Oh no.
And when I heard that, I was thinking about how annoying that would be.
Probably a reason we haven't heard of it.
Oh, I did hear about that. I remember that. I don't know how I heard about it, but I totally remember that. It's like a play on Romeo and Juliet, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually,
wait.
It's not Warm Bodies. It's the one.
No,
where,
it's like a PG Warm Bodies done by Disney.
Disney version.
Zombies. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a goofy movie. It was fun.
Only $6 on Amazon Prime if you guys want to check it out.
I watched the whole movie. I'm not ashamed to say.
Wait, you're not ashamed? What?
I'm not ashamed.
That's good. Be confident in your choices, no matter how questionable they are. All right. So with the rest of the chorus, I thought that I really liked the repetition of these last ones. Like that's the point. That's the
I was
theme.
gonna say that.
Idea. Okay, I won't say anymore. I'll leave that.
Okay.
So good. The brush of your eyes, I thought was maybe a little bit cliche in like a less interesting way. Partially just because eyes don't actually brush things, and I sometimes become a little bit of a stickler for like detail like that.
Maybe eyelashes if you're really close.
one more brush of your eyelashes, but then it's creepy, like he's like waving his eyelashes.
We don't want to go for the stalker vibe here. It already is. It already. If we step one more over, this song is gonna be really creepy. We don't want it to go into that. Like, what was it? The song that Eminem did, "Stand." We don't want to go there. No.
No, gosh, no.
We don't want, because right now like there's this fandom thing where like people will be like, I'm a stan of 21 Pilots, I'm a stan of NF. We don't want them to rename that to I'm an Ariel of 21 Pilots.
No, we don't want that.
But you could be something.
The whole clip named after you. Next level clip.
I think I have one more critique, no, two more critiques, and then the rest of it's all positive stuff. The line, "How could you leave us when I heard you cry?" It feels like there should be a semicolon right there. Like, "How could you leave us when I heard you cry? I grieved with you when my grandma died," or something like that. Just because it's a little bit harder to understand. How could you leave us when I heard you cry? Is that like, am I reading that incorrectly?
You know, so this is one of those lines I added towards the end because the line that was there before I had to take out. And I kind of wanted to, I figured this one could be made a lot better, but what I was thinking when I wrote it was that it could kind of have like, be like, when I heard "How could you leave us" and I heard you cry, and then also be kind of like, almost like, how could you leave us in like kind of that way of like how could you like leave when like we've kind of like, you know, when somebody cries when you're talking with them and then like they don't want to talk about it, sort of like that. It's like you have that emotional depth, but then we kind of don't talk about how that emotional depth is there. So I was going for a double meaning, but I don't think it worked. So I'm definitely open to suggestions for that.
All right. We'll hold on to that then. And I've been talking for too long, so I'm going to wrap up here and turn it over to Salma and Ivan. But the last thing I'll say is this, that I thought that the bridges were awesome. They really were. The rhyme was really good. A handshake, a quick pick is all I get. A letter of prayer is all I can give. Your economy of language there, you just keep it so concise, but you tell a lot through that. And the rhyme's really good. Time for, I'll wait in line for. Good stuff. Good stuff. So
I'm so glad. I was going for a Taylor Swift vibe.
Nice. Yeah, she's got great economy of language too.
That's where the ain't came from.
There, that's it. That's it. You
Taylor
were to speak now.
sabotaging my lyrics. No, she's good.
Taylor Swift is writing a song to NF.
Oh, I would so pay to see that. I want to see that
biggest
song.
celebrity drama of all time.
Dude, Ivan's even funnier when he has less sleep. This is great.
But don't get less sleep just to be funny.
This is being recorded. I'm gonna regret all of this. I'm just glad you can't see me.
So, Selma and Ivan, your guys' turn. Sorry for taking up so much time.
Okay. I actually had a suggestion. For the leave us and cry or whatever that was. I gotta look at the line again.
Leave us and cry. Oh, right here.
Yeah. When I heard you cry, how could you leave us? Like something about covering your face and cry, or hide your face and cry. Something that would be more visual with what you were actually talking about at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So like, yeah, my suggestion to get that
I'm
point
writing
across,
that
because I
down.
didn't see when you explained it, it made sense, but when I read that, I did not think that at all. So something a little more visual to put an actual image of what you were trying to say. Because like hearing you cry is more like he's in the next room or it's over speakers. It seemed more far away to me. But what you were talking about was like up front when they start crying, and yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But like hide your face and cry would be more of leaving you, but then I grieved with you. I think that would fit really well and solve your problem that you have there. Also, I really like NF as well. I have like at youth group, I have a little group of like 4 dudes, and we just hang out and talk about NF.
Can I join your group,
Youth
please?
Yeah.
Can I switch youth groups?
Yes, you're invited. Come to North Carolina.
Oh
So,
yeah,
a bit of a
I'm
drive, but
coming.
it's more southern. You'd fit in.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
You can say "ain't" all you want.
yeah, that's awesome. I would so do it.
Salma,
I don't know where I get that from.
Salma, do you have any experience with the word "ain't"? Like, have you heard people discussing that or talking about it or complaining about it or anything?
We don't say it in England, but yeah, I know it's a bit southern in America.
Wait, you do say it in England?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
I can't even say it properly.
Imagine.
Oh,
I think it comes from when I was a child and my parents had me watch Green Acres, and then Al would always say ain't, and I'd be like, I want to say ain't, and my parents be like, no, that's not correct language. And then my grandma also said ain't, so I think that really messed me up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like. Mom would always say "ain't" in the dictionary. And she's not southern at all. She's from Ohio, so she said "ain't" in the dictionary, and then they actually put it in the dictionary, so she's wrong, and I can say it as much as I want. But I actually remember when they put it in the dictionary.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it was, but I remember being happy that I could prove my mom wrong, and then just saying it because I can. But yeah, I think "ain't" is a beautiful word because of how disgusting it sounds. Like it sounds so hillbilly, but it fits and it's great, and I like it a lot.
It is good. It is good.
I don't want to hate on "ain't."
Hate on "ain't."
I ain't trying to hate on ain't.
Very good. Very good. All right. Anything else, Ivan?
Not really. I think I was gonna say it did sound very ready for music, but you already said that, and you were trying to go for Taylor Swift vibe, and I think that fits very well. So that's good.
Salma?
Aww.
I gave you a thumbs up. You couldn't see that, but thumbs up.
Aww. Thank you.
No problem. It didn't cost anything.
They pretty much said everything, but yeah, I'm going to say it again, but pretty quickly. So I really love the song, and I can actually relate to it because I've met a few of my idols, and I know exactly what you were talking about, and it felt weird. And actually, I talked about it with one of like my favorite YouTubers, and it was Dodie Clark, or Dodie. Back in the day, I've met her, and I told her it's really weird, like seeing you in 3D. And it's like I know her, like I've been watching her videos for like years, and she doesn't know me at all, and it felt weird. Because like I know what she's like, what she thinks of, and I know lots about her, and she's like changed a lot of like, I don't know, she just influenced a lot of like my taste in music and stuff. So yeah, and so I just related to the song, and a lot of the things that Cliff didn't really like feel was right. For some reason, I felt they were right, or at least I knew what you were talking about. Like the attention seeking, take my anxiety as proof. Like, I really love this line, and I love the looking down as I shake your hand, pretend that we don't know we know each other, because like when I went to like a YouTube gathering, I thought like I would be like so happy and excited to meet like finally the people I've been watching for years and that I feel like I know, and it wasn't the case, not for the first day at least. I was so like shaky, and I didn't like look them in the eye, and I was a mess. So yeah, I don't know. I think this like this line is pretty good because yeah, you usually don't look people that you really love in the eyes when you think that you will. And yeah, I love the chorus. Like now I'm starting to I'm staring into your face. I don't really hate the word skull. I have actually a love relationship with the word skull and zombies. Just saying. Like I really love the word zombies. Actually, I call myself like an alien or a zombie all the time. So, yeah, it's probably because I don't sleep that much. And well, yeah, I also loved I Know I'm One of Hundreds Who Shook Your Hands Tonight. And it feels like after like you finish meeting this person, it feels a bit surreal, but then you think about it and know like this moment in time is going to be something that you'll remember for the rest of your life, but it's probably going to be forgotten by the other person, and it really hurts. So I don't know, I just thought like this before, this line is going to like hit really hard and going to hit home, I guess. And yeah, what I liked also, by the way, I'm sorry about your grandma.
Oh, thank you.
Because yeah, I know what it feels like. So yeah. And the bridge is the best in the song. I mean, the song is really cool, but the bridge is like brilliant. I just love it so much. And I love that you start, you say like, is all I can give, and then you like repeat it, but say, I'll happily give. Because I don't know, it just feels right. I'm not really good with words. So yeah, I just think it's really like, I don't know, it feels right. And yeah, I don't know, I really like the song. I don't really have a lot of criticism about it. So yeah, sorry about that. But I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. You guys are all just wow. And the fact that you said that this was pretty much ready to put to music, I have the melody for it, and I actually just put it on my list of songs that I wanted to, so I can sing it a cappella now. And I just put it on my very small list of songs that I wanted to produce for an album. So yay.
That's awesome.
Oh, please do.
We lost Ivan.
I really love to hear that.
Oh, thank you.
Did lose Ivan. Oh man.
We lost him. Where did he go? I'm gonna see if.
Oh God, he's not there.
I'm gonna see if.
I'm
gonna see if he's saying anything on this.
Like actually meet some famous people or something, so that because yeah, like you said, Salma, you like immediately understood the song because you'd met Dodie Clark. And I realized I don't think I've ever actually really met that many famous people, and so that's probably why like it took me a little bit longer to catch some of those lines. Interesting. So yeah, guys, I got to try to meet some famous people. If you can hook me up with that, that would be great. But,
come on our trips. Famous people come out on our trips sometimes.
nice. I'll just wait inside the like.
Just wait on the boat.
I'll wait in like a locker or something.
It's really weird when like I find out that like a famous person came, because I don't normally see them, but my dad does, and it's like a really weird thing. We had oh shoot, I'm gonna butcher her last name. Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
I think. Gal Gadot.
Whoa.
She came out like last year, and she went on like our really small boat, and my dad captained, and it was like he has a selfie with her, and it was just like a really weird, surreal thing. And we've had William Shatner come out a couple times, and I got to meet him when I was really little, and I was the biggest like Trekkie kid ever.
Yeah.
I grew up on the originals, so I was like in shock. And to me, he was like, I'm like, he's older, but he's totally Captain Kirk. And so like I hid behind my dad because I was so nervous and scared. And then he chased me around my dad because to like get me to like not be so scared. And he was just, I still remember that like 10 years later. He was just like the nicest guy.
Oh,
it's such a big impression on me. He probably doesn't remember that.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Huh. Yeah, I think the closest brush I've had with fame, I've probably told this story before, but me and my brother, we like back when Rhett and Link used to live in North Carolina, we watched all of their videos, and we would like notice like what houses were in the background when they went outside of their studio. And so I pulled up Google Maps and totally stalked them and figured out like where their studio was. And then we lived very near them, and so we were like driving through town one day, and we found like the studio where they did their first rap battle, or the alleyway where they did their first rap battle, and like Rhett goes walking past, and so we like went up to him, and he took us inside the studio, introduced us to Link, and we got to see like the Chia Lincoln from like the first version of Good Mythical Morning, and like the Lionel Richie pictures on the wall, and like they went out of the room for a minute, so we started taking a ton of pictures really fast. And then they came out and took a picture with us, and then we left.
Oh my gosh, that is one of the coolest stories I've ever heard.
It was pretty awesome. We were like 16 and 14 or something.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. That's like a big brush with fame. Big time.
It was cool. It was cool.
That's so cool.
All right.
One of the coolest meeting celebrity stories ever.
I'm sorry. I'm saying brothers are fighting and one turned off the Wi-Fi to get him.
Oh
no. That's so great.
Oh, poor Ivan.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and talk about Josiah's while we wait for Ivan to figure that out. That is so funny, though. It reminds me of my brothers. But so I know Jenna might not be able to make it today, so we're gonna save hers for dead last in case she's able to. Josiah, I haven't heard from, so I've kind of been stalling talking about his. So we might as well go ahead and knock that out now while we're waiting for Ivan. And just in case, he'll probably be watching this in the future, I would assume. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you what would you prefer if you weren't here to hear your critiques? Would you prefer to have written, like what if we all jumped on a Google Doc and added our comments there, or do you think you would prefer to like rewatch the video recording of us talking about it?
Probably a recording.
Okay.
Ivan.
Hey.
You're here.
And we can see you.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now because my family is retarded. Anyway.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, I had
It's
two
fine.
brothers, and yeah, it's nuts. So you're probably like, that's insane. What are you gonna do to your brother? Like, do you have to beat him up now to like?
No, they're taking care of that themselves. They're already beating each other up.
That's great.
I don't need to get involved.
Where are the glasses? I was totally looking forward to those, man.
Oh, okay. 1 second. I've got to remember what I did with them.
Where did you get those from? They're so cool.
I got them for my birthday.
They look just like
Whatever.
Ty Joe's.
1 second. It's process. All right, this is my new look. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this
So cool.
on my album cover. Far from professional. This will be proof.
You got to be wearing like a potato at the same time, though.
Yeah. There, 1 second.
So awesome.
Got my hood over it all. Now I look very far from professional.
That's awesome.
It's a challenge. Try to take me seriously.
Well, you got back just in time to talk about Song Song. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Song Song?
I think Song Song was originally meant to be sort of a I like sand, but I also hate sand. I like to look at sand and mess with sand, but I hate walking through it. And I realized that it's a great metaphor for something else, like 21 Pilots did, and what song was it? I don't know what song it was. How can I not remember that?
Or is it
Addicts with a Pen?
I said at the same time, Jink.
Yes. Addict with a Pen. Walking through the deserts of my mind. Haven't found a drop of you. Anyway, I really like that, and I feel like sand is very underused as metaphors because it's super great, and so I wanted to use it as a metaphor for time and life and all that. And then I also, especially after Billie Eilish's music video, have a very special relationship with spiders, because they fascinate me, but also like freak me out, and I want to murder every one of them alive. But also, if I find one, I like to look at it really close because I'm a psychopath and then kill it. So I absolutely hate spiders, but I also find them very fascinating. But
I find them. You're not saying you walk out into the woods and just look for spiders to run around.
Oh no! I don't go looking for them. I'm not quite that creepy. I'm not like a spider assassin. Nobody pays me. Maybe if I was paid, I'd be like a spider mercenary. Pay me and I'll bring back 7 spiders.
The flies will pay you.
Yeah. Anyway, but I started out with the concept that I want to use those as metaphors for something, and then it turned into my own version of Stressed Out almost.
Yeah.
I tried a whole lot more metaphors. Also was thinking about drawing a picture for it.
Oh yeah. You definitely have to do that.
So I'd probably end up doing that.
I'm gonna draw one right now. You keep talking. I'm gonna do some fan art.
Hang on, is that a spider? Is that a spider like cover or poster behind your bed? Behind your bed.
Oh yes, it is. It's actually Spider-Man. It's the first.
Oh.
I'll show off all my art. It's not my art, but it's my Marvel fanboyness. It's Spider-Man, but actually also the first introduction of the Punisher, which is one of my favorite Marvel heroes. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Anyway, I also have almost every Lego Batman movie car Lego set, because Batman's awesome. The Lego Batman movie was like one of the best movies ever. Anyway, a little off subject, but I started out with the concept of trying to make something about spiders and sand, just for the heck of having spiders and sand. So I started with that and actually got places. Like, I thought about what a spider is to me and what it symbolizes, like what makes me think of a spider, sort of. And so I guess it's sort of, I don't want to say plainly death, but like Satan, I guess, like the darkness, the cliche. Darkness, death, depression, all those other bad D words. But sand is represented. Sand represents, I guess, everyday life and trying time, the passage of time, like an hourglass. I was trying to think about adding a whole nother hourglass thing where it turns into quicksand and I'm being sucked into the bottom half of the hourglass or something. I don't know, but that's like a whole nother song.
You totally read my fan art's mind. See, this is fan art.
It's beautiful.
Little spider and an hourglass of sand.
The cover
It's beautiful.
for the single right there.
I'm proud.
All right. Don't want to steal the show with my beautiful art here.
It's too late for that.
All right, very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah, no, I really like the imagery in this song, and I'll jump in with what I had to say. But I think the overarching thing is I like the structure. So you got spider up here, then you got sand, and then you kind of have what feels like sort of tying everything together, and it's more like your thoughts in general, kind of bringing both of these topics not into like the theme necessarily, but kind of the theme. You just get a little bit more like specific with the theme, whereas we have metaphor, and then things just get a lot clearer in verse 3. So it feels like this cool natural progression. The spider and sand images themselves are great, and the fact, like I think particularly the spider one you did a really good job on, where it really felt like you developed it all through here. I thought that was really.
At that point, I think it was 4 a.m, and I was just writing.
Yeah.
And then I threw it together and actually edited it and made it sound good, and I was proud of myself. And I was very tired, but it worked together, and I was proud of myself. Thank you. I'm glad it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
It could have been my own tired brain.
I felt like the spider metaphor, like, you know, the spider that I've heard creeps and crawls and deeply appalls my brains. My veins welcome its fangs, but it's just spread this pain. And I felt like it was like an average, like, okay spider metaphor until you got to the 8 legs it drags, it takes. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's when it came alive for me. And I was like, no, shoot, like I had the spider in my mind's eye. And I thought that was really, really good. My friends, let's see, down here, in my pounding headache, my friends make it better. I really like that. It just felt like a very like appropriate way to just talk about what your friends mean to you, and it was just very like blunt, and I appreciated that. The deeply appalls my brain. There were a couple of times where I felt like you probably sacrificed story for rhyme, which probably appropriate if you're writing this at 4 a.m. That would make sense. I felt like appalls might have been one of those. Brush my cuffs or I'm not buff. One thing that's similar but kind of different is you say I could use drugs, but I don't do that stuff. And you know what? I think that probably like drugs is like a hot topic issue. But it sounds, based on like the way you've talked about it there, or maybe how you mentioned it in songs in the past, that like drugs just sound like they're not really on the table for you. And my guess is that there's probably like other stuff that's more of a temptation, or stuff that's more likely to get you down that seems like a good way to cope, but isn't actually. And I would recommend just kind of like jumping into more of that stuff, because if drugs aren't really a thing for you, I would mention.
Don't think about them.
Right, maybe so. Unless you want to like dive into it more. Like if you want to talk about drugs, like really talk about drugs.
Yeah.
I thought the pre-chorus was really good. Oh, I'm scared. The fear takes hold. Compared to some kids I'm old, I'm just starting and I want to go back home. You're older than some of these kids, but you still want to go back home. There was a good comparison there, and you just like had a good rhythm and good rhymes throughout. You did a lot of like really intense, like 8 eyes that spies my demise, and I think presented the right way. Wait, where is it? There it is. That'll come off really, really well. So, let's see. Yeah, the continued image building and metaphor in verse 2. It starts off really strong. I fallen off. This part right here is pretty good. It was really good. When I fall on all fours, I look like a wild boar. That one felt a little bit out of left field to me. I wasn't quite sure where that came from. But when you say I'll stay for minutes. It's hard to admit this. That is some next level sound correlation. That was a really awesome sonic thumbprint there.
Thank you.
And then let's see. I'll do it for my mother. I felt like probably a similar advice with the mother compared to the drugs, where like if the mother comes into it, like really make her come into it, like a little bit more detail. Otherwise, leave her out just because serves as a distraction unless it's a main point. Okay, so these last 3 lines here, you gotta explain this. Those who take hurt just to cover scars, they're not mine, they're ours. Like I really like that, and I really wanted to know what you mean there. Like, I have some theories, but I'm really curious.
What are your theories?
Those who take hurt just to cover
I want to hear some theories first.
Because it sounds like it's sort of like a reference to self-harm. They're not mine, they're ours. Like we as a community have to come around these people, maybe. Or the victims, the downtrodden. Salma or Ariel, did you guys want to theorize with me at all? Take all the fun theories.
My theory was pretty much yours, but yeah, I was thinking it was like almost like somebody was doing self-harm, but they were ashamed to admit it. And then it's kind of saying like, hey, like I know where you've been. I've been where you've been. It's not just your burden. Like it's my burden. It's everybody's burden. And kind of saying like, because we've all been in that pain, nobody has to suffer alone, kind of. That was how I took it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Actually,
the
same idea.
You guys have good theories.
Are we pretty close?
Yeah, you're pretty close. It's actually about specifically self-harm and other people I know. Like one of my friends, be almost 9 years we've known each other, and it wasn't until this past year that he got baptized, and he shared that he had been having issues with self-harm since he was like 10. And he seemed like one of the happiest people I knew. And I was never really that close friends with him because I felt like anytime we would talk, it wouldn't be that close. And also, one of my friends, like an online friend, so it wasn't really that close, but she was starving herself and ended up in the hospital. And she had talked to me about suicidal thoughts and stuff, and I had thought that she died. And I was really scared, but she just didn't want to admit that she had failed, and didn't stop when she told me she was eating. She wasn't, and she didn't want to admit that she had failed and not followed through. And I felt like I wasn't, in both of those situations, I felt like I wasn't there for them, and I wasn't really their friend, and I may have been as distant as the one friend seemed to me. Like, he always seemed so happy. I thought maybe I always seemed so happy as well, and that's why he didn't get along with me so well. So if I was more honest with people, then we could be more honest with each other, and I probably was a lot of the problem myself. So actually those lines were probably could be a song in themselves. But it's basically a lot to do with self-harm. They take hurt by those who take hurt is like accepting loneliness instead of accepting loneliness and covering the scars. Like, they don't have issues, but they're not mine, they're ours. Is I have had the same issues, and we need to be together on it. And it hurts me to think that they were having those issues and I wasn't there, and it hurts me that they were having those issues and that they were not eating or cutting themselves, and there are scars. It's not just them as they would think.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, so that you guys were pretty close.
Gotcha.
Like, really close. So yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something really important because it's like, well, I haven't dealt with like those things. I know that when I was going through some really difficult stuff, like after I would, like when I was grieving really intensely, it was really frustrating to feel like a lot of the people I knew, like they didn't ever feel like that intense sadness. And I felt almost like they would judge me if they knew that I was feeling that. So it made me withdraw more from some of my community and then draw closer to some other people who were really awesome people also. But I think if the other people I knew, if like I had known more about them, I probably wouldn't have had that same feeling. So it's really what you said really like hit me about being honest, because I think people see me that way too sometimes. Like I don't deal with that kind of stuff. So yeah, that really hit me hard.
Yeah, thanks for being willing to share, Ivan. That is
no problem.
Not easy. I appreciate your vulnerability with us.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up with some of my thoughts then. I thought that your chorus, I really liked it, liked the construction of it. Good rhymes throughout. I thought it would be pretty cool if you kind of brought the spider and the sand back at the end, just because those are like such strong motifs through the song, and they start off the chorus. It would be kind of cool to either allude to them or mention them at the end. That would just give the chorus like that sense of unity, and it would give this feeling of like bringing everything back home. I guess necessary is the right word. Not necessary, but just a suggestion. And then there were, well, let's see, I'll say the two things that I really, really liked. And I'll just say that overall, I think that you did a good job. I would say probably, it sounds like this is your first draft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you're going to ever, put this out there, release it, you might want to I'm saying you might decide that you want to do a little bit more editing or something like that.
Yeah.
If you do, I would just say follow that 10% rule. Just go through and find like the bottom 10th of your least favorite lines, get rid of them, and either just leave them gone or put something else that you like better. And that'll be the editing process. The two lines that I thought were incredible, and I hope I'm not stealing too much of everybody else's thunder here, were in verse 3. If you see me spit on my grave in advance. I thought that was really, really cool. And then my spirit is rising, my body's not far behind, my eyes aren't hiding, and my heart's not blind. That felt like you spent a long time putting that together. Like that sounded really, really good. Yeah, but overall, I really liked it. Strong imagery, good rhymes, good rhythm. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, song.
I will do my best.
Song. We got to name it song. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
No,
I'm good with that.
Salman, Ariel, I'm turning it over to you guys.
So do you want to start?
Okay.
Oh, Salma, you got it. You totally got it.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Go for it.
We believe in you.
Rip them apart.
So,
okay, don't be the spider.
This one was actually really emotional. It got me emotional, and now that I know, like, I had my own I felt it was a bit open to interpretation, so you could actually read the lyrics and have I don't know, like see your own story within the lyrics. So I thought it's pretty cool, and yeah, now that I know the real story behind, especially these words that you were talking about, yeah, I got a bit too emotional, but they're really good. I'm sorry that you're were dealing, I'm still dealing with this stuff. because they are not fun. So yeah, I'm really bad at this. I'm sorry. So the lines that I really liked are the same lines that Cliff said, and I really wanted to have those. I mean, I was like pretty happy that he didn't say anything about them till the last minute. But yeah, I really thought like when I read it, I felt like, I don't know, it's just super cool, and I've never thought about like spitting on a grave in advance. Like it really just feels a bit really like, I don't know, it's brilliant and I loved it. I also liked the 8 eyes, it spies my demise. This line is pretty perfect to me. I really like it too. For some reason, I like imagine like
a strong word, but I'll take the compliment.
No, I really liked it. Like when I read it, I was like reading the verse 1, and then I imagined like being a bit in a dark and new room and seeing like 8 eyes, and you were like acknowledging that there are 8 eyes that are always there. For some reason, like I had this whole image in my head, and I really thought that this one line just like made it actually there. I also think the only thing that I would suggest is like you could maybe like shorten things a bit, because I felt like it was there are like few lines here and there that are not too, I don't want to say important, but I didn't like understand why were they were there, like brush my cuffs, it's rough, but I'm I'm not buff, like so like why are you talking about you're not being buff in here? Like I didn't just understand why, because like there are like few really cool lines, and then there are like lines that I just don't really know what like the story behind the lines are.
Yeah, I wasn't confident about that part at all.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm 100% on board with changing it, maybe even just completely getting rid of it. But yeah, replacing it.
Like
so
like there are a few lines here. Hang on. I can't find them. I usually don't like the word blood squirting. Like I just feel it's a bit gross. But I actually liked it here. Like I heard, but where are the lines? I can't find them.
I think it's in the third verse.
What? Sorry.
Third verse.
Yeah. Alone is how I hurt. I really like this one, and bones break, blood squirt. I didn't know like I just felt it's a bit like contradicting what you're saying, because you're saying that you hurt when you're alone. It's not like physical hurt. It's a bit more like emotional, and I just didn't know why those were here. I mean, they're pretty cool, but I just felt like that these just, I don't know. I just think like, they're not that important. Like you could actually take those and keep them in the lyrics bank or something. Or do you think like these mean something else? I don't know. Like why did you?
It's also related to the self-harm idea. Because when I'm alone, I start to hurt emotionally and mentally and everything, and then it turns into physical to try to, I guess that's what it is. So yeah.
Maybe
Alone is how I hurt was basically my version of My Chemical Romance. This is how I disappear, or Without You is how I disappear. But also at the same time relating to the self-harm again. So
maybe you could like have like a line like explaining this, like how like emotional hurt turns to physical hurt.
Yeah, that makes
like
a lot of
say
sense.
it in because I just thought like alone is how I hurt. I really like that line. Then bones break, blood squirt. It felt like cool, but I just didn't think it like fits. But if you have like a line between them, saying something like I don't know, something about like how emotions could turn to like physical things, and then have this, that would make a lot of sense. And I'm not really good at this. I'm sorry.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
No, that was helpful. That was good because it does make more sense that way.
Yeah. And I really like the one thing that I really want to say is I absolutely loved the pre-chorus, and for some reason I think like you could like, I don't want to say like get rid of like half of the chorus and like blend the pre-chorus and chorus, because I really think that the pre-chorus is even like better and more powerful than the chorus. I mean, that's my opinion. But yeah.
Interesting. Have them switch and do the pre-chorus more?
Yeah, maybe, but I really think that the pre-chorus is actually it's cool, because I mean, compared to Some Kids I'm Old, I just think this line is really good then, and I just want to go back home. Like, I don't know, like it felt really, I really don't know how to say like how to
that's actually
about stuff. But yeah,
I understand what you're saying, because when I was trying to come up with the title, I was trying to think of something I could take from the pre-chorus, but literally any words that I would just pull out of it to make a title. It sounded super cliche to me, and like any other song title. And so, because I felt like that was title worthy, and sort of even closer to the point of the song, like you were saying, it stays very true to the subject, a little, probably almost, probably it's more direct than the chorus itself. And I think I was gonna try to figure out how to turn something from that into the title, but it was like anything it sounded cliche or boring, or just like any other song title, like Home. That's original.
Gotcha.
So I understand exactly what you're saying.
All right.
So I might.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, that gives me something to think about.
Sweet.
Really good song. So.
All right, Ariel, you got anything?
Yeah. So I really liked this song. I'm sorry that there's so much pain behind it and so many difficult things that you went through and are going through to get this song, but you really did a good job of taking a lot of difficult things and making something really beautiful out of it. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
And let me see where are my notes. Okay. I really liked the line. Where'd it go? Just the whole line. I really liked. I know that they mentioned this, but the lines, "My friends make it better, but I don't know whether it's enough." I feel like that's just a really real statement. I instantly knew what you meant with that line, and also the line about your mother saying down here. Where'd it go? That makes me upset that I can't find it. Okay, here it is. I'll do it for my mother. That line also really hit me. It definitely resonated with some things in my own life. While I have not had depression, when I was grieving really intensely. I kind of just slipped into like this. I was like having like just total emotional breakdowns like every day. And I was really close with my grandma. She was my best friend. I was closer with her than anybody my own age. So when I lost her, it really hit me really hard, even though I knew that I was gonna see her again in heaven. So it was a very intense grieving period. And I really I could have probably, like, everybody's like, oh, like there's no incorrect way to grieve, but I feel like I could have handled it better in some ways, like not let myself so much like be sad so often. And there was this one particular moment when my mom was talking with me, and she told me how it really hurt her to see me in pain. And when she told me that, it was like that was what snapped me out of it. And I didn't like repress the grieving, but I fought harder to not be sad so much. And it was really because it was my mom. I don't know if it would have had that kind of impact if it had been like just like somebody else. Just because there's something really special when your mom says something, it like just hits you in that way. So that line I felt like was just perfect.
Yeah.
I know somebody said that, I think Cliff said that maybe you should like put it in another song, but I feel like you could leave it right there, because to me it said everything it needed to say. That was just really, really good. And I love the whole third verse, or second verse, or I basically love the whole thing. So just this was just so awesome. And let me see, where are my notes? Why is this so confusing? Okay. I love the metaphors. Really, really good. And I also very much liked the lines, "If you see me spit on my grave in advance, don't spare a second glance." The only lines that I hadn't heard mentioned that were just kind of confusing to me were, I didn't understand how the pre-chorus and the chorus connected to the verses. That nobody else seemed to have that problem, so it was probably just me, because I felt like the verses were talking about like kind of a like a depressive mindset and like suicidal thoughts, and then the pre-chorus and the chorus were about growing up. So I think you could definitely connect those, but I didn't connect them, and that might again just be me because nobody else seemed to have that. But I really liked this song. I was so impressed with it, and just the whole metaphor and everything, just awesome. In the chorus, I think somebody brought up the lines, "They work so hard to make me turn, but I'll push on and I'll take the burn." I really like those lines, and I was thinking if you wanted more unity, you could connect them to the spider and sand metaphor, and sort of show how the spider and the sand caused that to happen. And it might just give like a greater sense of unity and like give it even more impact, because this is definitely a very impactful song. And yeah, I just really liked this. I really liked this one, like the description and the metaphor, and being specific with a metaphor. A lot of people have a really difficult time doing that, but like you described the spider, you described the falling into the sand. Just really beautiful writing. I'm super impressed. I really love this.
No, well said. And I agree. I like the advice that you gave about bringing the spider in the sand into the end there. I think that's a good idea. And you know what you've said has caused me to rethink the line about my mother a little bit. And so if I had to go back and change my advice at all, I would suggest maybe just say a little bit more about the mother to help put that into a little bit more context. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just provide some sort of transition in and out of that thought.
Yeah.
It could be as much as just adding one more line, or as little as adding one more line. And if you did that, you would be following both mine and Ariel's advice. But frankly, I think Ariel had made some really good points too. So you are welcome to just go with her advice. All right. Well, hey, any questions for us, Ivan?
None that are good nor relevant.
Okay.
I like that saying.
All right. So we are coming up to the end, but we still got to do Jenna and Josiah's. And I haven't heard from either of them other than Jenna saying that she's in the hospital or she's at the doctor's and it's going better than she thought, which is awesome. So we'll ask them to just...
knows where Josiah is.
Yeah, Josiah, I'm assuming that Josiah is off somewhere, like writing great works of art and literature.
Probably.
Playing guitar on like a mountain in New Zealand or something. Yeah.
Probably playing like Guitar Hero.
Or that, yeah.
I'm sad that they didn't come because their songs were so good. But yeah. I totally understand why Jenna couldn't come. And I'm sure Josiah has a valid reason also for not coming. By the way, Ivan,
or maybe not.
It was really weird when I was reading everybody's lyrics last night and making my notes, I was listening to Billie Eilish. So yeah, your video that you released yesterday kind of was like made me realize I haven't listened to much of her, and then I went and listened to that song and just led to a whole Billie Eilish day.
Nice. So the way I was thinking we should wrap this up is let's give about 15 minutes to each Josiah, and then we'll do Jenna, just in case in some weird twist of fate she's able to log in. And we'll just go ahead and give some thoughts. We'll just do, here's what I say we do, is we just kind of do a round table where first we like each mention a thing or two that we thought was really good with Josiah, and then we each give like a suggestion or two for improving, and then we each give another like thing that we really liked. And you don't have to chime in on every round, but if we like, let's try this and see how it goes, and we'll do like, I don't know, approximately 5 minutes per round. I'll keep track of the time. You guys don't have to worry about that. But I will go ahead and go first with what Josiah put out as soon as I pull up my extensive notes. Would you guys be interested in seeing like the notes that I write down about your songs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
I think that would. Like, I'm writing notes about your notes on my songs. So that would, I guess, yep, a
Beautiful.
Step there.
Beautiful. All right. So first thing is, honestly, it's very, very beautiful what Josiah put together. The imagery is incredible, and the rhythm and the rhyme, like he just like technically excellent. The rhythm, the rhyme, and the imagery, the visual stimuli, the images he draws, all just incredibly good. And probably, let me see if I can find one of my favorite examples. Well, first of all, his Silence with Deny It, I thought was a really cool rhyme. The sound correlation, the more likely I feel like I fucking don't. I thought that was a really, really like strong, like a very well correlated line. And then my friends wanna be me, not around me. Whoa. And then trying to save some good stuff for the third round, but yeah, the gender dysphoria glorious lay on the floor and ask yourself, is this what glory is some pretty intense sound correlation. So just to talk about like what he does really well on the surface level, those were some of my absolute favorites, as far as like just how they sound and how well he draws the picture. So all right, somebody else's turn.
I really liked Turn the Page and Tear the Curtain.
Yeah.
I Deserve the hurt because I'm worthless. Asking if I do this dangerous crap. um, I think that like it was weird because all the rest rhymed except like the because I'm young and because I got no reason to. Like that whole verse, like that whole little, I guess, stanza there
Yeah.
didn't really rhyme at all, but it somehow fit together really well and still sounded beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right.
Like the rest is like super rhymey, and then that just kind of stood out as not rhyming, but it sounds great together.
Pulled a Panic at the Disco.
Like Curtin, yeah, like all of his stuff, yeah. Like Curtin and Worthless don't rhyme at all, but they sound so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I'll say is he didn't resort to rhyme as I usually do. It just sounded really great together.
Yeah. Thanks. All right.
And the repetition and What If It Was All My Fault was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was well done.
It's dwelling on the same thought of that possible guilt. But yeah.
And it goes from question mark to period, which just feels heavily laden with meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it goes from it goes from asking a question to stating a fact or being more final, like ending the line with what if it was all my fault? What if it was all my fault? Like leaving it open ended, it's more of starting out with a question and then answering just like with some finality, the same exact thing, which worked. It was really awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Well said. Well said. All right. Ariel or Zalma?
Do you want me to talk first?
Say what?
You can go first.
All right.
Okay. So I thought like I really liked the song, and there are a few lines here that really like resonated. First of all, the title is amazing. It feels a bit cute. Like I thought it was going to be like a cute song, and when I read the title, I thought it was like Ariel's song or like Jenna's. Then it was Josiah's, and I was like, what? I don't know. I felt it was too cute for him, but then I read the lyrics, and it's just like, okay. So the lyrics are not like cute; they are pretty heavy, but I love them. The little stanzas. So I'm not sure. Like this is not there. There aren't like choruses and verses and stuff.
Yeah.
Or a chorus verses. So the stanza where he says like dot coma across both of my wrists, but I didn't actually bleed, so it's different. Time tops so they know I'm okay, and this is like, oh Jesus, it's amazing. It's not true, but it's too much to face. I really love this one. It's like the third. Third. So I really love this whole thing. And I thought it was like pretty visual too. Like I felt like, I don't know, I really loved this part, and I loved the first two lines of the fifth stanza, where he says, "Every time I felt happy," she said, "I was a manic pixie," and I'm not sure if he's referring to like bipolar disorder or what, because like the manic part, like I have two friends who are bipolar, and they say that a lot. Really happy they are in like the manic episodes. So yeah, I just wanted to. I'm probably going to ask him more about this part because I really loved it. I love fifth um, the fifth stanza, but I was going to ask more about that if he was here. I also loved the one after that. It says hurt people, hurt people, hurt people, hurt eyeshadow and slice up a t-shirt. The more I sound like I got it figured out, the more likely I feel like I fucking don't. This one I really loved as well. And I love the rhyme here, like the hurt and t-shirt. I really thought it was really cool. There is a lot of like rhyme in the song that I really like. Like it's the imperfect rhyming, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like it's really, yeah, it just works perfectly. So
Yeah.
And I love the Men Don't Cry. They sing stick your hands in a sink, cry baby. And I want to ask about what did he mean in stick your hand in a sink? Like I loved this part. It sounded nice, and I love the like using the word cry baby.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I don't know if any one of you guys know or like have a theory. What does he mean with stick your hand in a sink? Because that was like a pretty interesting lyric.
I think stick your hands in the sink is his very poetic way of saying wash up or wash your hands of something. But I'm not entirely sure how that correlates with the rest of what he said.
Ariel, just as is appropriate to a classroom, you had your hand up. What was your opinion there?
So I think maybe because of the tone of the song, I kind of took it as something like darker, kind of like a garbage disposal.
I also thought that.
Like sticking your hand down the thing and then turning the garbage disposal on. Like that was what came to mind for me. But
just
okay, that makes me feel a little better that I wasn't the only one who came up with that.
At first glance, that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure if that was me being dumb.
Either way, Josiah, the metaphor is really good. You got people thinking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's really good.
All right. Ariel, do you want to finish up our first round of positivity?
Yeah. I like positivity rounds. So I started doing what Salma said that she did, which is highlighting the really good lines, and like pretty much the whole song is highlighted. This is just such a good song. So a lot of the lines that I highlighted have already been talked about, so I'll just find the ones that have not been. I liked okay if we give it some space, and if I pretend it wasn't actually yesterday. I really liked that, kind of showing how like when things are really difficult, you want to pretend that it's been longer since it happened, to sort of try to get that time heals all wounds effect, but like before the time has passed, because waiting is hard. And then I also liked the lines, so self-aware and brave and authentic, saying depression is not a death sentence. Every time that I felt happy, she said I was a manic pixie, whistle blow my inhibitions. Just everything about that is just so unique, and yet I also feel like I understand what you're saying, which is really awesome. And I also looked up what manic pixie meant, because I felt like I'd heard it somewhere, but you guys might already know this, but it says that it's a type of female character depicted as vivacious and appealingly quirky, whose main purpose within the narrative is to inspire a greater appreciation for life than a male protagonist. So kind of like a supporting role that's there to just make life more enjoyable for other people.
Yeah.
So that definitely would make sense. It might have a double meaning with like bipolar disorder and that. And then, oh, there's just so many good lines.
Yeah,
There's so many of them.
It sounds like a way of kind of discounting his happiness. Like every time that I felt happy, she said I was manic pixie, as if though I was like some sort of supporting character and my own thoughts and feelings didn't matter. It just kind of is kind of a way of brushing his happiness aside.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I totally get this girl or whoever, and I guess it sounds like it's a girl in the song, really ticks me off.
Yeah, for real.
It's just I was like really fighting some resentment towards this person as I was reading the song. I don't even know if this is a real person, but just like the line, "I hate men, but you're the exception." I don't think she actually meant it. Like, that makes me so sad because, like, oh my gosh, the fact that somebody would say that, and then like the other person is so nice. They try to be like, "I don't think she meant it," and then the person just keeps going like, "Men are trash, but you're not so bad, man." It's just like, oh my gosh, that like I highlighted that whole that whole thing. It was just very, you didn't have any telling like in there. It was all showing instead of saying like, oh, like she's like she doesn't like men. It was like it felt very real, like I was witnessing the conversation. And the fact that the emotions really of the person, where it wasn't like that made me mad, it was like you put the thing that would make you mad or hurt, and then you let the reader or the listener feel that for themselves. And that's a really hard thing to do, but you did that so well here. And then also the line asking if you're doing the dangerous things because I'm young or because I got no reason to. That just, oh man, the whole song is just so good.
All right. Well, we need to start talking about why it sucks. No, I'm just kidding. We need to give some critical feedback here. We've talked about how wonderful it is for long enough. And I will go ahead and let you guys go first. We are kind of pushing for time here. So let's try to give the feedback pretty directly. And then I'll wrap up with just like one big positive thing at the end. That way we still have time to go over Jenna's song. But what would you all would say would be, your 2 or 3 biggest pieces of advice for Josiah here?
So hard to find something.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was confused about as Salma was talking about the line, I realized what it meant. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can't think of anything.
You don't have to have a negative. That is okay.
Only thing that I thought really came out of the blue was the chicken in the park. Like,
that was kind of
confusing. Understand at all.
Oh yeah.
What that meant. Like, it was just, I guess, confused animal where it doesn't belong.
Maybe it's like he's afraid. You want to write like me, fight like me.
Yeah. Like he's a chicken.
Like playing chicken, maybe.
Like, oh yeah, like running at each other and the first person to move away loses, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Could be accusing someone of being a coward or claiming to be a coward.
I also thought of chicken fights, like pot fights.
Dude, we could totally fight chickens in the park to see who wins. Yeah.
I had like a flashback on the Radioactive music video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With the puppets, yeah.
All right. Anything else to throw on there, Ivan? You don't have to, if you don't got anything.
I mean, I read through the song 3 times when I first looked at it because there was so much. I tried to
Yeah,
get it
for
all.
real.
And by the time I got to the end, it was all like together, and there were so many thoughts and so many places he went. So I guess the only real thing I would say is just the format of there being no real distinguished verses, and
Mm.
like if it was put together like it would definitely help with I mean it'll probably sound way better with music and actually make a whole lot more sense, but like when I was reading through it, it was difficult to remember where stuff was and what was where, if it was even part of that song.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember everything, and there's just so much packed into it. Like,
I know what you're saying.
uh, yeah.
All right. Salma, what about you?
Actually, I was going to say the same thing. Like, I liked like almost everything, and I find lyrics or something that I want to critique, but I thought that there were probably ticks in here, and like the part where he's talking about gender dysphoria, like it's cool, but I thought this is like a pretty heavy subject, and could like make a whole song about this one, especially if like he had the parts where he's talking about this girl, and like there are like probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 3 or 4 stanzas like could make a whole song about this relationship with the girl, and like how she doesn't really understand him, and how like she's saying stuff that he thinks it's not like pretty real, and how she left him, and there is a bit of like gender dysphoria thing going on here, and like this is like a whole other song.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I am
like there is a lot of things in one song. So yeah,
I'm really glad you mentioned that, and that's actually a nice segue into some of the things that I wanted to suggest. Yeah, I think that overall, I thought it was beautiful, technically excellent in just about every way. There are a couple of lines I'll mention that I thought were maybe a little bit unnecessarily confusing. Just so you're aware, Josiah, when you watch this, the dot comma comes across as a semicolon, which, if everybody else doesn't know, usually semicolon as a tattoo is a reference to, well, I don't know if it exactly has to be a suicide attempt, but a lot of times it just means that, hey, there's something more coming after what most people would have thought would have been the end of the sentence. So life continues on. The King Vulture I thought was a little bit confusing, and it was a little bit hard to like understand what exactly was meant by that. The rhymes had been so subtle up to this point that the culture vulture rhyme felt maybe a little bit heavy-handed, just because, you know, there's not a whole lot of other words to rhyme with culture, and so the vulture rhyme almost becomes predictable. Let's see. I think that let's see, Mountaintop Dew, Don't Stop Me, Go was just, out of all of the lines, I felt like that one was like particularly confusing. And I don't think that I could even really begin to guess at a meaning for it. The You Want to Write Like Me, Fight Like Me, Street Like Chicken in the Park, Lose Sleep was probably my favorite stanza of all. I'm getting into the positive. I want to be careful that I save that. But yeah, and then Salma, what you said about the she in the relationship, or the friendship, or the frenemy-ship, I think was really appropriate, because like you said, I think that there is a lot happening in this song. And part of me, that kind of goes back to my overall critique here, part of me thinks that this might just make a better spoken word or poem than a song. Typically a song is going to, unless you're going to do some really crazy art piece, which if if Josiah were to say that this is supposed to be like an art piece, I would totally believe Josiah. But I would say that if you want to make this a song, you've got to condense and cut down a little bit, especially if you're going to be making a song for the modern taste or the modern sensibility, which maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to do something completely new and different, and I think this is a really good example of that. But yeah, having some sort of a repeating chorus, even if it's just a short little stanza, or even if it's just a line you come back to or a concept, would help to give the song unity, like thematic unity throughout. It doesn't have to be, you know, some big clunky chorus. It can be very, very subtle. But my suggestion, my suggestion would be that, you know, just to make this a spoken word. Part of me worries that if you put music to it, people would be less likely to notice some of the beauty and the rhythm of the sound correlations, the imagery, the messages. Part of me really thinks this would work much better as a poem than as a song. If you were to do it as a song, I would say follow a few more of the songwriting rules. That would be my suggestion, but you don't have to. But if you were going to do it as a poem, I would say that you're just about right at exactly where you need to be, because in my classes, poems I've taught, you know, post 2000, a lot of them sound like this. You've got a strong poetic voice and tone, rhythm. The action is consistent, drives forward. It's all really good. As a song, I have some suggestions. As a poem, I'd love to see you perform this at like an open mic night or something. I think that would be incredible. To go back again to what Salma said, I would say, yeah, if you are wanting to keep it as a song, it is a little bit confusing at times, and you cover a lot of ground. What do we have here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 stanzas, and each of them comes across as a verse. There's hardly a single one that does not have the level of detail and the story driving forward of a verse, except for maybe this one would make a good... Oh, wait, you know, I'm scrolling on the wrong page again. Sorry, guys. Maybe this one right here would make a good chorus, or a good beginning to a chorus. There's a couple that have like, but again, like out of the 15 stanzas, maybe 12 sound like, maybe 10 sound like verses, 2 sound like bridges, and 3 sound like choruses. And I am not in any way advocating that you change this or get rid of it, or that you say that this is not working. I'm just saying that if you want to make it a little bit more comprehensible to the modern imagination and listener's appetite, you know, as far as song lyrics go, I would just add a little bit more repetition in the form of some very simple chorus. And then, like Salma suggested, maybe you could kind of look at certain storylines and maybe focus on those. You could very easily, if you wanted to, if that's the direction you want to go, or something you haven't thought of yet, you could very easily mine these 15 stanzas for, I would say, at least 3 different songs that you could write about easily. There's more than enough material here to write 3 fantastic songs. So I will probably end us there with that combination of a critique / compliment, and just say overall really well done. Anything that we missed, guys?
Not really.
All right.
I think that's pretty...
Basically, the song's awesome.
Yeah.
There isn't much to change.
Preach. All right, let's talk about Jenna's song. I was saving hers till dead last because I was hoping that she would make it out of the doctors. But here we are. So, since she's not here to introduce it, I'll just give a quick summary to jog our memories. Essentially, this is the song of a relationship, and it has a little bit of a surprise ending in the middle there, a twist, where the narrator is talking about having killed somebody, and having killed that person for the other person in the relationship. I've killed for you. The evidence is hard to believe. I killed for you so that you maybe would love me. Oh, baby, can't you see we're both guilty? Got a very tight concept. Like the concept at the core of this is very well put together. And then we see at the end, or in the what would maybe be the bridge of the 3rd verse, I think, the person I killed was me. I watched myself slowly leave for who you wanted me to be. I died for you. Just remember, I'm not guilty. And so all of a sudden, it's like this surprise ending that's just fantastic. And we find out that the other person in the relationship, perhaps emotionally abusive or perhaps overbearing, at the very least, has forced Jenna's narrator to kind of compromise who she is as a person. So, yeah. we'll just, you know what, we'll take turns giving our full feedback. We won't do the like rounds of positive, rounds of negative this time. That was more just an experiment. And so I will just briefly say that I thought that this song had, like I said, a very, very tight concept, really good structure and organization, and just told the story well. And I will stop there and turn it over to one of you guys. The Chihuahua was totally ready.
Chance to read it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, take your time, Salma.
I'm reading it right now.
I have my notes here. I can go. So first, I actually messaged Jenna last night right after I read it because the song made me really emotional in like the best way. I love this song so much. But yeah, this just really touched me. I feel like this was like the best round of all of our songs. This was just really cool.
I would hazard to agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I love the hook. Can you imagine the scene of the murder? And then the only person who's guilty is me. I really like, Jenna, how you use the word guilty to show how the speaker's perspective on who is guilty changes throughout the song. I really liked that. And then I did it for you. This was the line that really made me like become completely invested in the song. It just really kind of just it just made me like fall in love with it, because having it be to the point where like you want someone to, that idea of like somebody asking you to do something that's so wrong and you bear the full weight of that guilt, but the other person doesn't like take any of it on. It's like such a painful idea, but it's like an incredibly beautiful metaphor that I just love. And then stop it, Chihuahua. She has a name, but I don't feel like using it right now because I'm so annoyed. Kiki, stop! I'm on. Oh. I hold her. She'll stop barking, I hope. Okay. So how am I? Come unplugged. I will just take this off. It's too complicated now. So I really, really loved this song, and the line "I killed for you so that you would love me." That was the line that made me want to cry. It's just so good. The song is just so good at evoking emotion.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to run anyway. And, you have a blessed day. I love you. Okay. Bye.
And sorry, there's lots of people on phone calls at my house. My mom's laughing now. Yeah, my mom says we live on the phone. So then the only lines that I feel like could maybe just be made better, they weren't bad, they could just be made better, oh gosh, the southern thing's coming back. Was the second verse that starts with their life slowly leaving. I like how you chose to talk about like the moment, and I think if you got more specific with what it looked like to watch this person die, like really specific things, and then like how exactly you felt, like was it like a tight feeling in your chest, was it like everything stopped around you, like whatever that was, and then that kind of trying to rationalize it by saying I know it was all for you. Just like more specificness to make the moment really come alive. But I like that you chose to pick that moment specifically to describe. And then, like, my heart kind of stopped when I read The Person I Killed Was Me. Just the build up to that was just so perfect, because it didn't feel like it came out of nowhere. It felt very, very natural to go into that, but at the same time, it was a twist, and it was just a perfect balance there of the unexpected and yet like a natural progression. So awesome job. And then just the outro or the final chorus or whatever it is. I like how you said, "I died for you, just remember I'm not guilty." The change in who's guilty. And then the words that came to mind as I finished reading the song was that it was just beautifully, hauntingly hopeful. And it's just such a good song. Just, yeah, awesome.
Well said, Ariel. Well said. All right. Oh, Ivan is gone.
Oh, we lost Ivan again.
Salma, that means you're the only one.
Oh, no. No. Okay. So, okay. Ariel pretty much said everything. Like, I loved the switch and like how the guilty person changes. First it was her, then it was like both of them, then it was not her, which just probably means him. And yeah, I would say yeah, he is. And I loved like there is the line that I really liked, which is someone and I think there is like their blood is on you, but I think it's on your hand with your fingerprints all over the scene, which is like pretty cool. And I think it like this line is why she started to think that like she's not the one guilty here. Because yeah, she said like, yeah, I've killed and the only person who's guilty is me, and I did it for you. And I felt like, okay, this is like pretty much like a love song and I've killed and whatnot. But then this line is going to be like, okay, so maybe she's not that guilty, or like she is guilty. There is more to the story, and I don't know, I just love this line in that stanza. And yeah, I don't know, I really like it. I didn't have a chance to read it because probably she posted it when I was asleep. And yeah, so I I really, really like it. I'm just a bit like, probably it's my fault and I'm just a bit silly, but did she did the person who's like saying these words, like, did they commit suicide or did they like change, like they've killed who they really were? Because I'm just a bit lost here, and it's probably my fault because I didn't like really have the time to read it.
Good question. I think it's just that she changed. I don't think anybody.
I think so too.
Yeah, because I thought, yeah, I thought like suicide for some reason, but then the word, I watched myself slowly leave for who you wanted me to be. So I think that she didn't really die. But yeah, I just wanted to ask about that.
Gotcha. All
right. I really think it is solid. You know, I'm kind of a sucker for a story, so I think like this is a pretty cool story, something. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very clear.
Thank you, Salma. Thank you very much. And then Ivan, what do you got, man?
Not much actually.
All right.
But I really like and I like how the guilt
again. I think you cut out.
I liked the guilt.
Okay.
How the guilt was shifting from person to person, and then it's both of them. But then it's her for doing it for him, but then it's his fault for wanting her to do it. And the whole time acknowledging that it was wrong.
Yeah.
At the same time. So I liked that was really cool.
That shifting guilt is a cool feature. I think she does a good job of handling that. All right. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I can go ahead and jump into some suggestions here. Feel free to interrupt me at any time, guys. So I think that overall, well, I already gave some positive stuff. Let's talk about some critiques, and then I'll get back to some positive stuff. Let's see. So my biggest suggestion was actually a contradiction of what Ariel said. And so I think, Jenna, for you, you kind of have to decide whether somebody like me or somebody like Ariel is more your audience. And if it's me, you know, maybe wait what I say a little bit more. And if it's Ariel, maybe wait what she says a little bit more. I don't think that necessarily, this is not me trying to say that Ariel is wrong. And I'm more than willing to be wrong. But I think it's not a question of being wrong. I think it's a question of just, what effect do you want to have? I felt like the line, the person I killed was me, felt a little bit sudden. And part of me wanted it to be hinted at a little bit in the past. I think the biggest thing is that like this whole thing is a metaphor of you like killing yourself, but not in a suicidal way, but in a like personality based way or a preferences way, and who you are as yourself is dying to make way for this other person. And so I think that the easiest way to turn that around a little bit would just be to give more examples of the metaphorical changes earlier. So this I killed for you so that you maybe would love me. That's kind of the metaphor there. I killed for you so that maybe you would love me. And I would just extend the metaphor a little bit, and I would kind of talk about some of the results of this metaphorical killing and just kind of hint at them earlier, just to paint the picture a little bit more thoroughly. So when it does come time to say I've killed for you, we can go back and there will be even more opportunities to say like, oh, wow, I see, that's a huge twist right there. So like, can you imagine the scene of the murder? The only person who's guilty is me. I would say the only person who's guilty is me is a good example of what I'm talking about, where you're basically talking about the effects of the narrator getting rid of her personality for the sake of somebody else, but talking about it within the metaphor. So that guilt is a good part there. I did it for you. I killed someone and their blood is on your hand with your fingerprints all over the scene. I think that's another good example of it. So I felt like the first verse did a really good job of that. But I think the second verse and maybe the third verse could have done that a little bit more. So why did their life have to end? I'd like something a little bit more specific to the metaphor. A question I must pretend I'm not asking is fine, as I'm desensitizing. I'd like to hear something a little bit more right there. I've killed someone for you, but have to remember I'm not the one who's in control. And I think that is an important part to leave. Their life slowly leaving. I had thought that the person was already dead, because you'd said, I've killed for you, which makes it sound like it happened in the past. So for this person's life to slowly be leaving feels a little bit inconsistent. Not necessarily a huge problem, but you just kind of have to decide whether you want to live in the past or the present tense, and then just stick with it. Yeah, those would be the main and I think that if you add a little bit more of those like metaphors and those crossovers between the metaphor world and the real world, I think it'll make the person I killed was me stand out even, and it'll be an even bigger like plot twist. I think that'll be really, really cool. On the other hand, if you wanted to, I don't think that this is necessarily the best idea, but it was just something that popped into my head that I wanted to mention to you, so you at least had on the table. You could always reveal that the person I killed was me in the first stanza, and then have the rest of the song develop that and kind of, explore that metaphor after you've kind of introduced it. But that might be less exciting, and you don't have that awesome twist. And so just an idea, but not something necessarily the best idea. Let's see.
I feel like your advice was really solid. I agree with you. I don't know why I I suspected that it was the narrator who had killed, like, it, like, metaphorically killed themselves for the person. So when it happened to, like, when it was revealed to me, it felt like, yay, I was right. And it was like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't think it would change that to put more in before. It would only enhance it.
Okay.
So I think that's really solid advice.
I think it sounds like then, especially if you were already thinking of that earlier, I think maybe the big difference between a listener or / reader like Ariel and I is when I watch like suspense or like detective shows or something like that, even like Psych, I can almost never guess who the bad guy is going to be. Like, I'm clueless the entire time. And so when you consider me as your audience, you have to consider that like I'm never like April's constantly being like, this is how the movie's gonna end. There you go.
He's not lying.
There's April overheard.
Hi.
Hi, April.
Can you guys hear her?
Faintly.
Yeah.
Faintly and closer.
You can just tell him what I said.
Okay.
Bye.
She's a special guest star.
She
Bye.
is. She is. She and Galaxy's been here the whole time too.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Galaxy.
Oh, I look so cool right now. Excuse me. Do your ears ever get too warm in your beanie? That's what my grandpa does. So that's what I do. April hates it.
Is that the one from the
Rarely.
Rap Gun video?
The grandpa?
No, the beanie.
Oh,
Is that Rap Gun?
It probably is, yeah.
I was rewatching that the other day.
I'm glad
that was
is.
funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, so yeah, I can never tell what's gonna happen to the plot. I think it's because I just like sit there and I let it happen to me. I'm a very like passive viewer rather than an active viewer. When it comes to listening to a song that by 21 Pilots that I have to put out a video for in like an hour, then it changes. But a lot of times I'm not very good at predicting where things will go. So that's just the difference between us. I think Ariel, you say that you can't predict either, but the chances are very high that you can still predict better than me, just because everybody can. And you you said already that you were already suspecting it. So
I was. I think with songs I'm better at it than with because I think I'm a storyteller. I try to shut off that part of my brain when I watch movies because otherwise I think about it too much and it's not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I don't generally try to figure out anything.
Gotcha.
But my dad is always like, he's also a writer and he'll always be like, at the beginning of a movie we were watching, at the beginning, he goes, that girl's a clone. I'm like, there's no way you could know that. That doesn't make any sense. And then like an hour later, the person next to me goes, is she a clone? And then they go, oh my gosh, she's a clone. And it was like, I look over at my dad, I'm like, how? Like, we were in the theater. There was no way he could have known that. And it was just like really, and that's my dad in a nutshell. So
is it the Jurassic World movie?
It was.
Yeah, I actually guessed that pretty early on too.
Nice.
You and my dad would get along very well.
Man. Yeah, so that's just a quick example of, knowing who your audience is. But yeah, so I'll just wrap up positive things, just saying there's a lot of bombshell moments here. The rhyming and construction are really good. You develop the character really well. The basic concept here is solid and deserves to be built on. And then there were 2 rhymes that I really liked. I killed for you so that you maybe would love me. Oh, baby, can't you see we're both guilty? There's a lot of E sounds there. It sounds really good. And then I killed someone and their blood is on your hands with your fingerprints. Wait, where is it? The only person who's guilty is me. And then later you say with your fingerprints all over the scene. And both of those sound really good as well. Did a great job. I think that developing the story a little bit earlier with, kind of developing that extended metaphor you have going on. Because this is migraine level stuff here. Like, because migraine is it's an extended metaphor song. And you've got that exact same thing going on here. And so I think just developing it a little bit more in the early parts will just 10 times it to go along with all the other things you're doing really well here. So All right, guys. Anything we missed?
I don't think so.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
So that's it. We did it. Yay. We made it.
Yay.
Good work, everybody. Too bad
We're
there's
done
only
good.
there's only 4 of us. Usually we're a big family of 6, but sadness is
And we still went for almost 3 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
So any questions, comments, or concerns, guys?
Nope.
About
think I'm
anything?
good.
Life, dogs? All right, cool. I have questions for dogs. The Chihuahua, what's the Chihuahua's name?
Cheeky.
Cheeky. Nice. And is your dad Captain Dave?
He is.
Okay, that's cool because I read when your mom mentioned the dolphin safari, I pulled it up real quick and I was looking through the menus briefly and noticed that your dad wrote a poem on there. That is so cool.
Oh my gosh, he did?
Yeah. Unforgettable, a poem by Captain Dave.
Oh, I didn't even know this. Wait.
I'd be creeping on your dad. What's the Festival of Whales?
Oh, it's this cool annual event we have in Dana Point. I think it's coming up soon.
Yeah, March 2nd.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a cool. Oh man, I saw this so long ago. It's been forever. Yeah, my dad. It's funny because my dad actually was in a band when he was younger, and he was the songwriter for the band, and he also writes fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because those are the 2 things I'm really passionate about, and it had nothing to do with my dad doing those things, and it just kind of worked out that way. So that's really cool. Yeah, Festival of Whales is awesome. It's really fun. Like a 2-weekend event, and it's just awesome. The place is so busy with like tourists and everything, and there's all these like fun games for kids, and it's just such an awesome like community event.
That's really cool. All right, guys. Now I have to go and Google how do you get whales to show up to a festival in their honor. So we should probably take a break. Okay, so I'm glad that you guys wanted to try this little experiment. I'll put it in the chat too, but essentially the way this is going to work is, well, I got to tell you what the big surprise is. All right. So I said, I want to find my exact wording here. I said on the sales page, it was a special all caps surprise. And the special all caps surprise is that I'd like to feature your guys' lyrics on the channel. Put out like a really brief video, and we can put like a little snippet of your lyrics, or we can like, link to your entire lyrics. We can have a snippet, a portion of you singing the song, something like that. It's going to end up being a pretty like a shorter video, but I really wanted to show people what you guys are capable of and just like the really cool things you've done. So I guess probably the best way to think about it is that you guys each get 60 seconds on the channel. What do you want to do with it? And we can talk about the specifics. And if you're like, hey, I don't want to show my stuff to the world, that's okay. You could get on there and talk about how much you love Panic at the Disco for 60 seconds. But it's ideally your lyrics, 60 seconds. And I'm willing to hear pitches. I'll have to give like final approval on everything. But, yeah. So stuff. So the idea then, kind of part of why I thought this little extension by a week would work really well, is that if there's a song that you really, really love that you've worked on in the past, this first week we're gonna put it in a Google Doc, have it up, have it to me by Thursday or so. I'll put it in the Google Doc for everybody, and then we'll have everybody try to give comments and feedback over next weekend in the Google Doc, just in comments, and then in the Discord, whatever. You're welcome to Google Hangout with each other if you want. And then you'll take those comments and you can rework it for our final get together where we'll hop on Google Hangout together. and then we'll talk about them all again. And then if that's the one you want to go with and put on the channel, then hopefully that extra week to work on it will have helped you feel like, you know, you're really, really confident in it. So that's what I got. So any questions about that?
That is an awesome surprise.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
So cool, guys. Cool. I'll put some more feedback, or not feedback, details in the Discord, but if there are no questions, we can go ahead and adjourn.
Awesome.
Cool.
So cool.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. Oh yeah.
Also, really quick, I feel like I always end up saying something about the Unicorn King at the end of the videos. My best friend wanted me to pass this message on to you. I actually convinced her to let me.
Okay.
So she thinks that a really good name for the Unicorn King's followers could possibly be the Unicult.
The Unicult. Nice. Yeah, that's actually pretty decent. We have officially named ourselves the Lyricorns, but we could be the Lyricorns of the Unicult, of the Unicorn King. I wouldn't be mad. Tell your friend she's got good ideas.
I will tell her.
All right, cool. All right, guys, have a good day. I'm gonna go do some dishes. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay.
Keep up the good
Bye.
work.
Thank you.